Why do we leave our hand on the stove? Although we know we're in for some pain. Oh, why do we refuse to hang a light when the streets are dangerous? Why does it take an accident before the truth gets through to us? Cages or wings, which do you prefer? Ask the birds. Fear or love, baby, don't say the answer. Actions speak louder than words. Why should we try to be our best when we can just get by and still gain? Why do we nod our heads although we know the boss is wrong as rain? Why should we blaze a trail when the well-worn path seems safe and so inviting? How, as we travel, can we see the dismay and keep from fighting? Cages or wings, wishes or wings, ask the bird. Fear or love, baby, don't say the answer. Actions speak louder than what does it take to wake up a generation? How can you make someone take off and fly? If we don't wake up and shake up the nation, we'll eat the dust of the world, wondering why do we stay with lovers who we know down deep just aren't right? Why would we rather put ourselves through hell than sleep alone at night? Why do we follow leaders who never lead? Why does it take catastrophe to show the music? But if we're so free, tell me why. Someone tell me why so many people bleed. Cages or wings, ask the bird. Fear or love, baby, don't say the answer. Actions speak louder than cages or wings, which do you prefer? Ask the bird. Fear or love, baby, don't say the answer. Actions speak louder than they speak louder than actions speak louder than words.
Good evening and welcome to the Sheen Center. We are glad to be back here, and good evening to all those on the internet watching us, our friends and family, and we appreciate you doing that. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we pray that we give some hope tonight with people that are struggling with mental health, mental illness issues, and that, and if you are, we hope that this will be a night of hope for you. We're going to do a song that talks about when you're in trial, when you're going through trials, will I be there for you? It's called Will You Be There?
can say to thee, you are my friend. Carry me like you are my brother. Love me like a mother. Will you be there? When wrong will you scold me? When lost will you find me? But they told me a man should be faithful and walk when not able and fight till the end, but I'm only human. Yeah. Oh, no.
mother.
A father.
Son.
Daughter.
Brother.
A sister. I am a student.
A stay-at-home mom.
Construction worker.
Volunteer.
I am loving.
Smart.
Funny.
Generous.
Way too generous.
I am all of the amazing things you see.
But there's something you can't see.
Or don't see.
Something that I don't let anybody see. Like when I'm alone.
In a room full of people.
You can't get out of bed.
And maybe I've gained weight.
Or lost weight.
Why do men always lose weight?
It can get dark in here.
Really dark.
Addicted to food.
The web.
Work.
Sex.
Alcohol.
Something to take the pain away.
To feel happy.
To feel something.
Anything.
Nothing.
Because depression isn't a mood.
It's not a passing thing.
Or a bad day.
It's a disease. I can't just get over it. It feels like I'm underwater.
Drowning.
And sometimes I think you'd be better off without me.
I am telling you this. All of this.
Because I need help.
And you are my wife.
My dad.
My husband.
My kids.
My boss.
So please, don't judge me.
Leave me.
Fire me.
Please, be patient.
Don't give up on me.
Just be there for as long as it takes.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't real.
When we get hurt, no one tells us.
Lose the crutches. It's all in your head.
If someone is seriously ill, we don't say,
just feel less pneumonia-y.
So how is it that when
I'm not able to sleep at night?
I'm anxious all the time.
Drinking is the only way I can feel good these days.
Seems like I'm arguing with the people I love nonstop.
Or other issues related to our mental health, too many people pretend we can just
snap out of it.
Taking care of our mental health shouldn't be any different than taking care of our physical health. But let's be honest, there's still too much secrecy and shame around seeking help. The truth is, this affects nearly all of us. 1 in 5 adult New Yorkers are dealing with a mental health disorder every year. Now imagine a city where the path to taking care of your mental health is crystal clear. We're not just going to imagine it. We created a roadmap for mental health to make our city as healthy and as strong as it can be. The roadmap has 6 guiding principles. Change the culture. Let's make it easier to talk about our mental health. Act early. Investing in prevention gives New Yorkers the tools to weather challenges. Close treatment gaps. We need proven programs in every neighborhood and every community. Partner with communities. The wisdom of local communities will help us get to the most effective solutions. Use data better. Better data means better treatment, better policies, and better prevention. Strengthen government's ability to lead, because we have a responsibility to support your access to mental health. New York City is moving closer to the day when the path to mental health is clear for every New Yorker. Get involved. Find out more about the roadmap here.
My name is Duggan. I am a community organizer with Thrive NYC. I hope y'all enjoyed our little video for Thrive NYC. Thrive is a really convoluted, wide initiative made of 64 programs. So it's really nice that we're able to sum it up in such a cute video. In November 2015, the First Lady of New York City, Shirlene McCray, launched Thrive NYC, which was a decisive turning point in the way that New York City approaches mental health and substance misuse. Thrive NYC is a roadmap, as you saw, designed to begin changing the way folks think, view, and interact with mental health, and the way city government and its many partners deliver services. My role at Thrive NYC as community organizer is to meet communities where they are at. And we know that different communities interact and also stigmatize and internalize mental health way differently. And we also like to start conversations that challenge the stigma and the shame that's attached with mental health. Changing the culture, which I feel like this event is part of doing, changing the culture on mental health is a foundational block of Thrive NYC. For too many of us, perhaps not in this room, but in the city, we still think of depression and addiction as dirty words and assign it as, or view it as shameful afflictions that must be hidden at all costs. And like the video showed, we need to see mental wellness the same way that we see physical wellness, as something that can be actively improved and strengthened as part of an everyday commitment to overall health. We can change that, and by organizing events like this, by being in spaces like this, facilitating conversations around mental health, creating community events around mental health, we can change the culture and have a more open, healthy, and a culture that doesn't view accessing treatment as weakness, but views accessing treatment as something that's necessary for long-term mental wellness. And I'm going to talk to you very briefly about our Thrive NYC's Mental Health Weekend of Faith, which is happening May 19th through the 21st. Like I said, meeting communities where they're at also involves empowering communities and empowering community leaders and faith leaders, because we know that faith leaders are often the ones that communities turn to first when they're dealing with mental health issues. So during this weekend, what we're doing is we're sending out a mental health toolkit that faith leaders can utilize in their day-to-day work, whether it's including mental health in their sermons or having resources that they can directly offer their congregants I will leave some flyers outside. Feel free to take some and reach out if you would like to participate. Being in the space has been amazing. The music is so uplifting and warm. So I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to speak, and I hope y'all enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Dobbs, and I'm coming to you as the Program and Outreach Coordinator for NAMI NYC Metro, which stands in short for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I prefer NAMI NYC because I like the syllables, and it's easy to talk that way. And I also want to say a huge thank you so much to everyone for being here, for spending a Friday night with us, to celebrate and have a great discussion on what mental health is, what it looks like, and how we can help one another. And it's, mental health, as I think we saw in one of the stats before, it's not just 1 in 5 New Yorkers who are living with some kind of mental health condition. It's across the United States. That's huge. It's a phenomenal number. And I know it's a little dark right now, but if anyone would like to raise their hands if if you know someone who is affected by a mental health condition, or if you yourselves are living with something like that, just by a show of hands, who knows someone? Yeah, those numbers are huge. Remember those hands. Remember those hands. And now just, and again, even while we're talking about mental health, there's a bit of it can be such a delicate topic. It can be sensitive. It can be a little stirring. And usually around this point, when I start talking about it and we start to get a little further on, there's usually one question on everyone's mind at this point. And it's, where does my accent come from? And so I am originally from New Zealand. I want us to get a guess. And I moved here around 2.5 years ago. And I moved here, I got my master's, walked into NAMI, and it was like nothing else I'd ever seen before. Throughout New Zealand, and when I traveled to Australia, when I was working with the United Nations doing civic education for youth, I went around Europe, still nothing like this. And this has always been such a strong and passionate topic of mine. Being able to talk about mental health, mental well-being. It was such a struggle from where I was from because I've been living with depression since I was 12. But nobody knew about it. I couldn't tell my best friend until I was in my early 20s. I couldn't tell any of my family until I was 25. But I remember going through school and trying to keep it from everyone else. I was a little tubby, I was very uncoordinated, I was in the bottom of all my classes, and I'm like, this too? Now I have this label which I was so terrified of sharing with anyone. I remember going through and just feeling so hollow, like nothing that I ever did really mattered. I was so critical of any time that I interacted with anyone. And I got to the point where that pressure was building up so much, and that I felt so unaccomplished and disappointing and just a waste to be around, that I did feel that everyone would be better if I wasn't there. And it did leave me to try and do that and accomplish that 3 times. But that is where I came from. And that's nothing against anyone who was around in my life, because a lot of times people don't know. It's that silence, it's the stigma around it, which can make it so difficult to open up and express and to find that hope in that place of recovery. And it's a journey. It's a journey to get to where you are. And NAMI, of course, even at this stage of, having lived with this for so long, that I'm able to grow in my journey of acceptance, to know that I'm not my diagnosis. I'm Matt first, before I'm anything else, before any other label, I'm me first. That it's not so much treatment as that there's a magical cure, but it's a management, it's a day-to-day thing. For me, from my perspective, I've accepted that, this is probably going to be me for the rest of my life. But I've got my support networks. I've got my coping skills that I've built up more and more throughout the years to manage it, to handle it. It's a lifelong thing, but that doesn't mean it can hold me back from anything. It doesn't mean I couldn't get off my little island in the bottom of the planet and get to this place, this city of my dreams, to do something that doesn't exist in all the places that I've been to. Through NAMI NYC, we're able to help with not just those who are living with a mental health condition, but for family members as well, to raise that education and awareness on what it is, what it looks like, and how we can help, and just to know that it's not a damning thing. It's something we can all work towards and recover from, and understand that we don't have to be kept in silence. So if 1 in 5 of us are living with a mental health condition, let's flip it around. 4 out of 5 of us can do so much to help and support one another, to talk about it, to know that it's a real thing. Real help and real hope is possible as well. Through your support with NAMI NYC, I'm able to go into schools. I'm able to talk with young adults and teachers and parents and to say, whatever you're feeling right now, it's okay. You can keep moving forward. And you're not alone with this. And you can get from wherever you are and wherever island you see yourself now into wherever you want to be. It doesn't have to hold you back. With your help, we're able to advocate. We're able to go up to Albany, talk with Congress people and say, hey, this is something that's happening, but we can do something about it. With your support, we're able to run all of our support programs, educational courses, and advocacy work, all at no cost. Because people need help and we're here to provide it. And with all of the work that you're doing and by being here tonight, you're making a huge leap forward into starting the conversation and erasing the stigma around it and making the lives of so many people, more than my country's population by several times in this country. You're making such a difference. So thank you all for tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Feeling small.
which is a theatrical adaptation of John Nash's life. He was a very brilliant mathematician, but he struggled with schizophrenia, and he would see things that weren't there. But over time, he learned to conquer those, and that's the story. So let's see a little clip of that.
Thanks, Professor.
Goodbye.
Have a nice day.
Goodbye. See you. Papers in hand, Mr. Byer. Yes, sir.
Professor Nash?
Can you see him?
Yeah.
You sure? I'm positive. He's within your vision. Good. Forgive me, I'm just always suspicious of new people.
See you next week.
I'll see you next week. So now that I know that you're real, who are you and what can I do for you?
Professor, my name is Thomas King.
Thomas King.
Mm-hmm. And I'm here to tell you that you're being considered for the Nobel Prize.
Oh, forgive me, but I'm just a little stunned.
Well, over the past few years, your equilibrium has become a cornerstone of modern economics.
Oh, wow. Suddenly everybody likes that one.
Yeah.
What about my work on some such projects? I'm a manifold embedding.
The application of your bargaining problem to FCC bandwidth auctions or to antitrust cases.
Antitrust cases?
Yes.
I never would have considered that.
Well.
Have I just reached some level of honesty that borders on stupidity if I told you?
No, you haven't.
Because I wouldn't have thought of that.
Shall we have tea?
Well, I don't go in now. I usually just take my sandwich in the library.
Come on, John. Let's have some tea. It's a big day.
Well, most commercially available brands of tea are not suitable to my palate, you see. I'm not... There are some northern Indian teas which are dense enough, and I enjoy the flavor that they have, and I have not been in this room for quite so many years. I wonder what tea they serve.
Well, thank you, young lady.
Things have certainly changed around here. I have a son that age. Harvard. I would have thought the nominations for the Nobel Prize would have been secret. I would have thought you'd only find out if you won or lost.
That is generally the case, yes, but these are special circumstances. The awards are substantial. They require private funding. As such, the image of the Nobel is...
Oh, I see. So you came here to find out if I was crazy. Find out if I would screw up, if I actually won.
Dance around the podium, strip naked and squawk like a chicken, things of this nature.
Something like that, yes.
Would I embarrass you?
Yes, it is possible. You see, I am crazy. I take the newer medications, but I still see things that are not here. I just choose not to acknowledge them. Like a diet of the mind, I choose not to indulge certain appetites. Like my appetite for patterns. Perhaps my appetite to imagine and to dream.
Professor Nash. It's good to have you here, John.
Thank you.
It's an honor, sir.
Thank you very much.
A privilege, Professor.
Professor.
Nicely done, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
That was certainly most unexpected.
Henrik asked me to speak about hope. Webster defines hope as a desire with expectation or with belief in the possibility or prospect of obtaining a thing desirable. So the question I asked myself was, what is my hope surrounding mental health? I initially thought about all the great research going on throughout the world and the steady advancements we are making. While I am encouraged by this and recognize its importance, I do not internally feel hope-filled. That said, I do feel hope-filled by the millions of people who have dedicated their lives in the pursuit of helping others. This gives me hope that tomorrow's will be better than today's. While many members of the symphony chorus are strangers to me, the chorus is providing a beautiful voice to honor millions of Americans who often suffer in silence. Thank you for making this happen and helping celebrate the human experience. This act of kindness brings me hope. I reflect on Jesse Lee United Methodist Church and their sponsorship of this event. The inspiration for the event originated when a church member passed away many years before I knew anything about serious mental health issues. The member donated a Steinway piano and money to benefit the music ministry of the church. The person also had a son who had challenges with serious mental health conditions. At the time, I was the finance chair, and the church council decided to use the donation to help fight stigma. So I placed my hope in the kindness of strangers who had the foresight to place music as a way of celebrating life. I also want to thank NAMI for being a voice on topics that too many people are uncomfortable discussing. We are lucky to have a grassroots organization with a public voice to help navigate the challenges we face. We started a support group in our town, and we also run NAMI's Family to Family 12-week class, helping folks learn about mental health issues. How fortunate are we to have such a wonderful organization fight for us every day. So once again, my hope finds itself in people who try and do the right thing every day to help others. Lastly, my hope is placed in my faith, trusting I was put here for a purpose. And my purpose is to learn and help others navigate serious mental health issues. My son's struggles help our family grow and become better people. His struggles have taught me what it means to celebrate a person for who they are and know what they do. It taught me about meeting people where they are and not where you want them to be. It humbles me to think that simple acts of kindness can have such long-lasting impact. The journey surrounding mental illness is hard, but I have hope in our common humanity. I see the struggles and tears and fear people face, and when we support each other and those who suffer, we are providing hope for everyone. Each one of us is a piece of the hope. We are in it together, and working together, the journey of life becomes a little easier. So I hope you're enjoying the show. I just want to again thank the Symphony Chorus and Henrik for putting this on, and for Jesse Lee United Methodist Church for sponsoring it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I had no idea I was going to step into heaven. Just, it's beautiful, the music and the inspirational speaking. Just a word about this song. It was written for my brother who was profoundly mentally challenged and physically challenged, and I can't tell you how special it was to have a brother like that, and how he helped our family, I guess, be able to grasp some of really dark times in life and some of the most joyous times in life with his simple trust and enjoyment of music, which actually inspired me to do music. His name was Walter, and our trips to see him and having what felt like communion on the picnic blanket with him in parks, with sometimes just McDonald's hamburgers, they were some of the sweetest times for us. And he was at home until he was 8, but then he was cared for by people who could give him more full-time attention, and that was not easy to accept, but sometimes we do need more help, and you all have helped me so much tonight. Thank you. Can you hear the guitar? I wrote this poem when I was 18, and I finally got to drive and see him by myself, and I let these feelings out, and then I sent the words to a friend of mine who's a singer-songwriter, and he wrote back and said, I think this one's for you. So then I wrote the music to it. He's gotten hard to carry, and I've run out of love. Let him ride on your back, send your strongest dove. When I learn to trust, your spirit sets him free. I would like to fly with him, send a dove for me, carry him for me, 'cause I can't find what he needs. It isn't here. It isn't here. What do you give a man when you don't know what he needs? And how do you feel compassion when you don't know where he bleeds? And how do you hold a hand that's been twisted by the years of wondering where to put them and bringing them in fear? Carry him for me, 'cause I can't find what he needs. It isn't here. It isn't here. Oh, carry him for me, because I can't find what he needs. It isn't here. It isn't here.
My name is Joyce Johnson, and I am a practitioner at the Hope Center located in Harlem. For us, HOPE stands for Healing on Purpose and Evolving. Before I get started, I just would like to thank Henrik for allowing me to come and share and be a part of something that is so very dear and near to me. And so the Hope Center started out as a need that I saw from conducting women groups at First Corinthian Baptist Church. I realized that not everyone was comfortable talking about their concerns in a group process. So I proposed the option to run individual counseling sessions at the church. The proposal was forwarded to Pastor Michael Warren, and the need that I identified became a dream that he actualized as the Hope Center. Now, as we heard everyone saying this evening, that everyone is impacted by mental illness. It could be you yourself, it could be a family member, it could be a friend or a neighbor. But at the Hope Center, we allow a place for people to be supported and so people can heal. And so you might be asking yourself, so what services do you provide at the Hope Center? First of all, we call the individuals innovators. And we allow the innovators to take that charge and heal on purpose. We nurture that purpose by providing individual counseling sessions, child and adolescent guidance, group therapy, family therapy, as well as religious trauma therapy. The facility is staffed with 2 licensed clinical practitioners and 2 interns. We also have on staff and on call 2 psychotherapists who are willing to provide additional services for innovators who require long-term care or psychotropic medication therapy. You can visit our website at www.hopecenterharlem.org, and I actually saved the best for last. All the services that is offered at the Hope Center are free of charge. We do not charge anything for anyone coming through the doors for services. Again, thank you and have a great evening.
Closer than you've been before. So look to the sky. Your help is on the way. It's not over. It's not finished. It's not finished. It's not ending. No, 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 no. It's only the beginning. Oh, and I know my God is in it. Makes all things new. All things are turning around. Seasons are changing. Everything is different. singing it, sing it's not over. There is no limit. No, no, no. When God is singing it, say it's not over. It's not over. When God is singing, there is no limit. There is no limit. No, 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 no. Say it's not over. Nothing is impossible. No, no, no. When God is singing, it's not over. It's not over. It's not over. Until God says so. Until God says so. So I count it all joy. So I count it all joy. You make all things new. It's not over. It's not over. Until God says so. God says so. So I count it all joy. So I count it all joy. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. I believe all things are possible with my God. With my God is in you. He makes all things new. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over.
Hello, I'm Amy. I have a really complicated story, and it was a story so complicated that I couldn't really understand it until music kind of created the arc for me where I could just turn it into a story. I grew up in musical theater, and that was how I thought my life was going to go. I could have never anticipated, a decade of trauma that followed, including, my stomach literally, exploding when I was 18 and landing me in a coma my senior year of high school that turned into 27 surgeries, 6 years unable to eat or drink, and a lot of, I know that's a mouthful, and a lot of trauma, in between. Hearing that in a sentence, my life could have easily been told for me, and I could have been the victim, overwhelmed by a story I really couldn't understand. I always say I became like the queen of PTSD. I became so dissociated and scared of all these feelings that were not brought to light until finally I could eat again and feel and process what had happened to me. And thank goodness, I found creativity. I found theater, I found writing, I found music. Because, when trauma hits you, you don't necessarily see, this arc of a story of going through adversity and somehow coming out triumphantly with the gifts you learn from hard times. You just see this chaotic, one after another, ups and downs and uncertainty, and you wonder, when is this over? But thankfully, it took me 10 years to even verbalize what I'd been through, but I ended up writing a one-woman musical about my life, gutless and grateful, because I still don't have a stomach, but apparently you don't need a stomach to eat. But I've been touring Gutless and Grateful around the country for 6 years, and what's been amazing is how I've been able to heal through it. It truly shows that by finding a way to tell your story, whether it's doing a dance or singing a song or doodling or just telling someone, you really are able to move beyond it and become larger than it, and it is just a story, and not only just your story, it becomes kind of a universal narrative, the wounded healer archetype, going through darkness and coming out transformed with a gift to give society. And I think that's what music was for me, where I could finally verbalize it and share it with you, and hopefully it will inspire you. This is a song I wrote called Lost in the Corner. At a time of such uncertainty, I was in the middle of surgeries. Doctors never knew if they could find a way to have me eat and drink again. And I had nothing to do but just wait from day to day, week to week, year to year, wondering, will I ever get my life back again? Will I ever live off of IVs? And, at a time when you have no control, where you're just, shaking your fist at the universe, thinking, like, what do I do? You think just picking up a pen or going to the piano, you think, can this really do anything? But it can do everything because it can give you hope, and hope is fuel to get from day to day. And I think at those times, that's our only job. We have to just get to the next day. And so writing this song was how I got to the next day, and where I am now, being healthy and happy and sharing my story. I still look at that original page of lyrics I wrote, and I remember how I felt at that time, thinking in my head, this song isn't going to do anything, what am I doing? And now it is just a piece of paper. And so to anyone, creativity is the best thing you can do. So this is the song. Day after day, it's a war to get through. Hard to feel wonderful, hard to feel new. Struggling through my time resolutely, diverting myself from the pointless, why me? Life is long enough to sing my song, and I will get my turn. I know this candle's bound to burn, and I will have my time to sing. I will, even if it's anything. There's gotta be a reason I was born here. It's time to crawl out from the dusty corner. Seconds and minutes sit by in slow motion. Never a glimpse of joy, never a notion of life where I don't have a care in the world. Life where I'm just the routine happy girl. Life is cold for me until it will unfold for me. And it will be my time to taste the sweetness, find the rhyme and reason to why all I do is mourn here. And then I'll crawl out from that dusty corner. The sounds are so loud when I'm sleeping, turning and moaning and flipping and stumbling over my aspirations, stifling my exclamations. Let me out, I was wrong. Let me in, I belong. I have to be meant for much sturdier ground, meant for more than just for sticking around. Wings too warm for flight, somehow find the light. Step out the door and the battles I fight. Tire and test me, but don't strain my might. Looking back on faded glories I've sung, now quiet and dry at the tip of my tongue. Why so slow before my time to show all of the wonders which build deep inside? Day after day will I struggle and hide. Who have I become? It's time to warn her to find herself and sweep her from the corner. Life is long enough to sing my song, a song that's strong, that's black and blue, a song that's meant for others too. And I will have my time to sing. I will, for it is everything to prove myself a woman who was born here to be more than a song lost in the corner.
Zap zap bop do wee, zap do da do 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 do, zap dee la do la dee la do la dee da da, shoo-be-dum shabba-dum shoo-be-dum dum da da dee da, shoo-be-dum shabba-dum shoo-be-dum da 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 dee dee da, shoo-be-dum shabba-dum shoo-be-dum da 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 dee da, do ba sweet do, woo. Ba 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 boo day. See you. Hey. Ba 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 da. Do ba ba do ba da. Skip it a wee wee ah. Skip it a wee wee hey. Ba do ba 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 da ba da. Ba ba da ba ba do da da do da do da ba do ah. Tear it up. Break it up and tear it up. Tear it up. Break it up and throw it out. Shout, shout. Come on now. Hey, 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 zap, 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 do ba ba.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you just reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know he'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you you will be found.
Amazing. I don't know how to follow this. This has been just an amazing evening. The selection, the voices that have lifted to come together. The symphony is such a great word because we are all part of a symphony of humanity that is coming together on something that's incredibly important. My name is Linda Michaud-Cottrell. I come from Boston. I was invited here. I don't sing. I'm not musically inclined. I'm an artist. I'm formerly president of NAMI Mass. I was on the national board, and I decided to sort of bring my message through art. And I am bringing something called the 99 Faces Project. It will be exhibited at the Museum of Science in Boston, which is really exciting that a major museum is going to take on the many faces of our mental health. And the message in the exhibit, which will include the 99 Faces Project, which I'll show you, is a way to bring our message that we're all talking about here tonight to a broader audience. We are the choir and we get it, but there's many other individuals who really don't understand mental health, mental illness, and they get most of the information from the media. So we know interest is high, but understanding of what's going on is pretty low. So I started this project maybe 6 years ago. My son suffers from symptoms of schizophrenia, and when I first heard of his diagnosis, I was in shock, as many individuals, family members are. Because I'd never seen anybody live through that illness. I had no idea what the statistics were, and I didn't have any hope because I didn't have any role models. And so part of his recovery, along with my recovery as the primary caregiver, was to find stories of hope and recovery and make them available to everyone. So the 99 Faces Project is 33 individuals with schizophrenia, which you'll see, 33 individuals with bipolar, and 33 people who love them. But what I'm saying is there's no labels, and there's many individuals in this that have become doctors and lawyers, and some are judges, social workers, artists, authors. You might recognize a few people, because my hope is that people with a new diagnosis or a family member doesn't become frustrated that that might be the end of the story. Many great things can happen. And so I've put this together with many courageous individuals. There's some messaging in there for the non-choir. I also used the 2010 census data to make sure I put the actual cultural diversity that we have here in the US population to show that it's not about ethnic groups, it's not about your where you come from, it's not about how you were treated by family members, although that can be a stress component. So it runs 8 minutes and it's set to 2 songs. One I picked, which was the first feeling of wanting to fix somebody, which I learned much later after understanding illnesses that you don't fix somebody, this is just part of who they are. And the second part is sort of a family member's recovery, which is, I accept it, I don't care what symptoms you have, I just love you. So with that, please enjoy the video.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in reverse, tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. High up above or down below, when you're too in love to let it go. But if you never try, you'll never know just what you were. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. Tears stream down your face when you lose something you cannot replace. Tears stream down your face, tears stream down your face. I promise you I'll learn from your mistakes. Tears stream down your face, lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
Come down, selector.
This one goes out to you and yours. Worldwide, I say, hey, I'll be gone today, but I'll be back on around the way. Seems like everywhere I go, the more I see, the less I know. But I know one thing, that I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. I've been a lot of places all around the way. I've seen a lot of joy and I've seen a lot of pain, but I don't want to write a love song for the world. I just want to write a song about a boy and a girl. Junkies on the corner always calling my name, and the kids on the corner playing eyes, I knew it was true. I said, hey, I'll be gone today, but I'll be back from around the way. It seems like everywhere I go, the more I see, the less I know. But I know one thing, that I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Now I'm not a highly metaphysical man, but I know when the stars are aligned, you can bump into a person in the middle of the road, look into their eyes and you suddenly know. Rocking in the dance hall, moving with you, dancing in and out in the middle of June. My mama told me don't lose you, cause the best luck I had was you. I said, hey, I'll be gone today, but I'll be back from around the way. It seems like everywhere I go, the more I see, the less I know. But I know one thing, that I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. And I said, rocking in the dance hall, moving with you. I said, hey mama, close to you.
Rocking in the dance hall, moving with you. I said, hey papa, kick off your shoes.
Rocking in the dance hall, moving with you. I said, hey mama, close to you.
Rocking in the dance hall, moving with you.
I said, hey mama, 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 hey mama. What you gonna do? Well, my mama told me don't lose you, cause the best luck I had was you. And I know one thing, that I love you.
Thank you. We are trying to take it sort of nationwide to show a different image of the face of an individual that's living with bipolar spectrum or schizophrenia spectrum, which kind of encompasses everything if you think about it as a spectrum. And the other concept that we're trying to bring to light is, and I know we've talked about the 1 in 5 thing, but what we're trying to take as a new perspective is it's a spectrum and we're all on it somewhere. Because I don't know if you can think to yourself, do you know anybody who has never felt depression? Can you think of anybody who's never felt anxiety? So those are the two components. There's 4 major symptoms, and all of the labels are put together just so someone can be treated or an insurance code can be used. But it's the combination of anxiety, depression, mania, and psychosis. And they, pretty much everybody lives in their life and experiences at least anxiety and depression. So it's not us and them. It's all of us on a spectrum. Some people just have more of it. So trying to eliminate the barriers and maybe blur the lines, just like we are trying to do in a loving culture to eliminate race, also eliminate the barriers of what our mental health construction is about. So we know that our fingerprint is completely different from every other of the 7 billion people on the planet, right? And we know that our face is different from the other 7 billion people on the planet because our DNA is different. And so is the construction of our brain. So we all experience, as human beings, symptoms in different ways. We think differently. So the brain is completely wired differently. Every person in the room is different. Every one of those 7 billion people is different. So it's not a category of us and them. It's a spectrum. We all have these human experiences. Some people just have a lot more in some cases. So that's what the exhibit will be at the Museum of Science.
My wife and I have a loved one that struggles with mental illness, and she's been doing the family to family course, and she loves it. So NAMI is doing wonderful work. So I encourage you to donate to NAMI, and we'll have Jesse lead us home on the song You Raised Me Up. Thanks for coming, everybody.
shadows come and my heart burn me, then I am still and waiting in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on 20 seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up.